So this video is not about Battlefield 6 becoming the next Call of Duty killer. And I kind of dislike the fact that anytime there's like a first person shooter that enters the arena, like the immediate thing for people to do is start comparing it to Call of Duty, calling it the next Call of Duty killer, which just goes to tell you how desperate people are for something different than a Call of Duty experience. And for me, I don't think success needs to be measured by, oh, can one game completely knock another game out of the arena and then have to take over that fan base and assimilate. I feel like that's not a healthy way to approach gaming. I think success for Battlefield 6 would be coming into the first person shooter space and just maintaining a healthy community and providing a fun experience. That's different than the games around it. Before we continue, I'm XLaw804. I like to cover gaming related subjects, just kind of giving my opinion, going over gaming news. Sometimes I do skits and sometimes I post clips. So if any of that sounds good to you, hit that sub button if you want to see more of this. Hit that like button, I appreciate it. Let's get into it. Going back to success. So why is it important that Battlefield 6 be successful? In my opinion, is that because we as gamers haven't really had a casual space where we can kind of just run around and shoot and have fun and not really worry about stats and skill-based matchmaking and that kind of stuff for a while. Now, yes, Battlefield 2042 existed, so did 5, so did 1. But those Battlefield experiences didn't provide the same magic that Battlefields 3 and 4 did. And if you played them and you had fun, that's cool. I didn't play 1 or 5 because when those came out, World War II for COD had just dropped, and for me, it was just way too much going back in time. I am just not a fan of that time period. And when 2042 came out, there were just so many other games going on, and it just didn't seem super appealing to me. It was one of those things where it dropped, a lot of people were excited for it, and then, you know, a few weeks later, it just fell off the face of the earth and it just completely disappeared. So now that Battlefield 6 is back, I'm really rooting for it because when you look at games like Call of Duty, right, it's a first-person shooter, but it's kind of a more super hyper-focused adrenaline kind of pumping where you drop in, or if you're playing 6v6 multiplayer, you just kind of load in, you run in a straight line, you fight everyone in front of you, just kind of running like a chicken with his head cut off, all over the place doing your own thing. Then you got the whole BR stuff, which is a different experience, which I don't really want to go over because that's not kind of what Battlefield's about at this moment anyway. And then you have like your Overwatch and your Marvel Rivals type games where it's, you know, 5v5, 6v6, and you can't really chill. Like, yes, you can play non-ranked matches, but it's like a team game. And if you're just kind of casually messing around and kind of unplugging, well then, you know, you have 5 other people who may be wanting to, you know, push for a win, and you're robbing them of that experience. So it's not exactly like a chill space. Can you do that? Yes, but people might yell at you. Of course, you can mute them and all of that. At the end of the day, you know, they're too intense for you to just unplug and just kind of chill out and play games of Overwatch or Marvel Rivals. You typically are trying to win, you know, you're learning a character or something like that. So it's not exactly that kind of space. Now, when it comes to CSGO and Valorant, I mean, sure, there are probably respawn modes and there's probably casual non-ranked things, even though that's typically what they're known for. But it's just kind of, again, it's a different experience where you can't really unplug because you need to have, you know, super tight aim to take down the person who's popping around the corner to get you and etc. And it's just, again, I mean, you can unplug, but you're probably not going to have a lot of fun if you unplug, you know, playing those games casually because, again, you're playing with a team and, you know, if you're slacking, you're not doing your part, team gets mad at you. Of course, you can mute them, but you know at the end of the day, it's kind of a team experience and you kind of want to pull your weight. And now enters Battlefield into the chat. And it's just different because, I mean, would I like to win? Yeah, sure, I suppose. But like, what's more important to me is having like cinematic experiences that you see in the trailers and you try to reproduce that kind of stuff and have fun. And it's just, you can unplug and when you're playing Battlefield and kind of run and hang back and shoot and stuff or whatever. You can get in tanks and ride around, you know, there's different things you can do in Battlefield that you can't really do in other games and just kind of unplug your brain to. But if you do want to just, you know, go hard for the objective and really push the line and, you know, secure that next foothold for your team, or, you know, if you're holding a hill or something like that, like those experiences can be fun in itself. But like if you die, it's not like, oh man, you know, I'm gonna D-rank, or oh man, my team needs me right now, etc. Like it's just, it's not that feeling. And that's what I feel like that void is missing, where you can just kind of jump in, you can have fun, and if you die, it's not the end of the world, or it's not like dramatic or a big deal, or it doesn't sting nearly as much. And I feel like that's a space that Battlefield needs to go back to filling. So let's actually talk about Battlefield 6. Now, there's not a whole lot for me to say because right now I'm really just watching all the big streamers play, you know, the gameplay trailers and all that stuff. And it does look good. It looks like it's really, you know, the next in line for that Battlefield 3 and 4, you know, that modern combat feel, which we all love. My thing is that right now the streamers are playing it and, you know, yeah, they're having a good time, but like what happens when the streamers stop playing it? It's kind of like what my concern is. Like, does Battlefield 6 introduce something that will keep that core audience there, that's fun, that keeps the space alive, that, you know, the other ones could not do? Because I feel like 4 did really well for a long time, and then just 1 came out, everybody migrated to 1, and then you know what happened from there. I've seen some new mechanics and things, and I have some ideas on things they could do to spice up the gameplay loop, but that's for another video. But I just want to say that it looks good, but again, I have that concern about like what it looks like when it comes out. I don't want it to fail at all. I'm not dooming it. It's just I am wary. But, you know, from what I've seen, the gameplay looks good. The destruction looks fun. It looks like they're back to their roots. So I'm hoping that this splash it makes stick around so that we can continue to have this cool casual space where, you know, a good amount of people want to get on and play, run around and unplug, or just have intense cinematic moments. And I'm sorry if I haven't conveyed this in the video, but I think competition among the developers and studios, etc., is, you know, extremely healthy for the gaming space. Just like we saw in the past with Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, competing head to head with, you know, the Call of Duty games at the time. They were both inspiring each other and, you know, taking it to the next level. And I feel like we need more of that in the first-person shooter space and probably gaming in general. But I just want to make sure I put that point across. I also just want to say that I really hope that Battlefield can submit itself with this next entry and inspire other studios to go out there and get back into making Battlefield type-esque games. I think the last Battlefield type game we saw was like a Roblox version that kind of came out. And it wasn't Roblox per se, it just looked blocky. I can't remember the name of it, but that was like a few years ago, and we really haven't had a whole lot in between. So hopefully this can inspire more studios to take that step through the door and continue to make more games, and again, inspire more competition. And if you made it this far, you know, consider hitting that sub button, like, definitely comment what you think about Battlefield 6. What are you wanting from the game? Are you hoping it succeeds? You know, what do you want from your Battlefield 6 experience? And for that being said, y'all stay safe.